welcome back to our second segment of the show. I am Paul Amadeus Lane, and I'm so happy to have you with me. And don't forget, you can always connect with me. Go to paulamadeuslane.com. That's paulamadeuslane.com. And I'm telling you, I'm enjoying talking to you about technology, sharing you the stories of ones out there who are behind these amazing tech companies out there. I want to introduce you to a word that you may not be aware of, or you may be aware of, and that's MCN. I guess those are acronyms or old titles, one of those things. Can't think right now, but it stands for multi-channel network. Now, what a multi-channel network is, it's an organization or a company that works with such platforms as YouTube. They work with the channel owners in such areas as their products, funding, cross promotions, digital rights management, you name it, how to earn revenue. They do that. So then ones can create revenue with their content, being content creators. What I wanted to do in this segment is introduce you to a company that is doing this and that is doing it well. This company is named StyleHaul. Now, let me give a little background about StyleHaul. StyleHaul is the largest global style community of content creators. Now, the company is home to more than 5,000 digital influencers who create style-focused content that attracts more than, check this out, you guys, 60 million unique viewers and generates over 2.5 billion views, not a year, but each month. Now, StyleHaul is here on the West Coast, on the West Side in Los Angeles, with offices in New York, London, Singapore, Sao Paulo. And in November of 2014, StyleHaul was acquired by the RTL Group and the leading European entertainment network. And this company has flourished under the leadership of their CEO and co-founder and president. And without any further delay, let's welcome her on. And joining me right now from StyleHaul, we have the co-founder, president, and CEO, Stephanie Horbaczewski, joining me. Stephanie, how are you, my dear?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. And Stephanie, to have you on is truly an honor. Your journey and what you guys are doing with the company is so amazing. And before we delve into the company and what you guys are doing, what made you switch your career from being a lawyer now to the fashion industry?
So I started out a career in law, honestly, because I wanted to live in New York City after I graduated from college, and being in the law field allowed me to move there and have that life. And law school was the next logical step. I realized pretty quickly after I got there that wasn't what I wanted to do. I finished law school early and I went to business school. And thank you to one of my brilliant marketing professors who told me that really I had a gift for marketing and that's where I should spend my time. I was blessed enough, thank you to him, to switch directions. I say to a lot of people, I still use that law degree every day. So outside of the enormous student loans that I have now proudly paid.
So I'm glad to hear you say that, because sometimes when we switch careers, we really don't realize that, hey, that old career choice that we had can help us out in our new career choice. So I'm definitely glad that you brought that up, Stephanie, because some people are kind of afraid to switch careers. And did you ever go through that thinking like, well, did I make the right choice? Should I go back in the courtroom? Did you ever have to deal with those type of emotions?
Yeah, I mean, when you go and start a brand new company in a startup land where nothing makes sense, I mean, there were a lot of questions from my parents and my family and my friends of what exactly am I doing, going out to work on YouTube, which at that time was still seen as cat videos, and leaving this great career I now had at Saks Fifth Avenue, and was I sure that was that really what I wanted to do? But I always say you need an element of delusion to be an entrepreneur. You have to really sort of not understand the reality around you and charge ahead anyway. And so I think your question is a good one, but I'm not sure that I ever let myself really think about it that logically.
I'm glad you said that, because that shows, Stephanie, that you were determined. You're like, hey, I'm going to do this, and nothing's going to stop me. And that's really a testament to what you've been able to achieve over at StyleHaul. And when you look at the multi-channel network platform that we have now, did you ever, think that it would morph to what we see it today? You talked about being on YouTube when it was cat videos, and when you can also watch copywritten content without getting in trouble. I remember those days. So what, seeing where we're at now, did you ever envision that?
No, I mean, StyleHaul just turned 6 in January, and the iPad is 7 years old. So, I mean, when you put that kind of stuff in perspective, you realize how much has happened in such a very short amount of time. When I started the company, these opportunities that are coming today weren't there, and so there wasn't as much to worry about. But there also was no sense of the grand landscape that now exists coming down the pipe. I was fortunate enough to have a co-founder who, in one of my frenzied entrepreneurial moments said to me, Stephanie, this is the Wild West. Get out there and stake your claim on the land. When you have the land, you can start building infrastructure, so plumbing, electricity, etc. And then you'll start thinking about building housing development, hospital, shopping mall. And he said, you don't even have land. Don't talk to me about hospitals. And that was a very sobering and also, great wake up moment that I had to stay really incredibly focused on what was directly in front of me if I was ever going to worry about what was further down the road.
And Stephanie, let's talk about, what you do over at StyleHaul. We know that it's one's objective out there to not only have some followers when it comes to their content, but also ones that will engage in, let's say, their posts and talk about their different products. Where do you come in at StyleHaul to help point ones in the right direction?
Yeah, I think that brands are discovering that they really need a new and more innovative way to reach a millennial customer. And social platforms, in particular, YouTube and social video, are extremely powerful tools. And you need to think about StyleHaul as being 100% focused on exactly that. We are experts at how brands can and should engage with creators, and then how to extend that conversation at scale. So I created this analogy a few years ago that we had treated branded content like a heavy rock. We were dropping it into a puddle and watching conversations start. What we weren't doing was reinserting into that puddle in the concentric rings that were coming out more and more of that branded conversation. Example, I had a meeting with Samsung after the Oscars a few years ago, and I'm busy congratulating them about what a huge win the selfie moment was. And they said to me, actually only 24% of our customers knew it was a Samsung. And it was that sort of sobering moment where I thought, because the conversation started happening and they weren't in it. And so it made me relook at how we were helping brands with what we were doing. And from then, we've created a product, and now all of our programs are very data driven. We know exactly who you should work with, exactly the result working with that particular group of creators can create in terms of spawning conversation, and how to continue reinserting your message so that the velocity of conversation about your branded content continues to tie back to your brand. That is light years from when I started the company and used to hold up a photo and say, she looks like your brand. That it's just not even comparable from then to now.
And Stephanie, let's get a little geeky now. Let's talk about the collection of data and how you guys do that to make sure that the brands are marketing to the right potential customers, and how to get those customers engaging and talking about their product on social media. Because let's face it, somebody can have over a gazillion followers, but if they're not engaging them and getting them to talk about their product, it's really like if a tree falls in the forest, who hears it? So how can ones, to talk about the collection of data and what you guys do?
Sure. So, to give you some perspective, we're looking at hundreds of millions of lines of data a day. This is an enormous amount. So it is to analyze and use that data in a constructive way for a brand takes an entire team on a totally separate floor from where I'm sitting. So it has become an enormous part of our business, and as I said, it drives all of our branded content programs from the very beginning of looking at, the correct creator, who's talking about your brand organically already. Is there positive sentiment or a lift in performance on that content when they talk about your brand? Is it causing other creators to create more conversation about that brand or about that creator and their content? And so it starts with something as simple as that. And, now it can move to, we had a project with a brand who wanted to look at changing how they're associated by their fans and by their customers. What were the associations customers had? So we looked at all of the hashtags and all of the words that fans were using when they were talking about that brand. And we created a project that over the course of time started to shift the perspective that customers had and how they were referring to that brand. And the only way to do that is to have the data about what they're talking about and be able to then use that to change the conversation and use the right people. Because to your point, if you hire the wrong person, if you're hiring someone to a beautiful girl to sell bikinis, for example, and 70% of her fans are male, it's probably not going to result in the ROI you're looking for, even though at the surface it may look like a perfect fit.
That is so true, so true. And I just had a visual in my mind of me trying to sell bikinis, and that probably wouldn't work. But I appreciate you sharing that.
This was a real life example, though,
yes.
Where a brand wanted to work with a particular creator, and the truth was her audience was mostly, it was 70% plus male, and so it wouldn't have had the ROI that they were looking for, even though to you and me, it probably on paper would have looked like a perfect fit.
That's so true. And let's talk about, how we're seeing a shift when it comes to traditional marketing and advertising methods. For ones with different brands who used to do things the old school way, when you bring this new fresh approach to them, what's been kind of the drawback from ones who've been in the game for many years, who use print media, who use direct mailers, and now we have this digital content now. What's been some of the apprehension that some of the old guards have had with this new kind of advertising trends?
I think it's a great question. I think in the beginning, it was as simple as how do we pay for something like this? They just weren't set up to be able to divert funds to what we were doing because it was so new. I know that sounds crazy, but that was honestly a large piece at the very beginning, was just helping brands figure out how to justify the work that they were doing. It's quickly, over the last few years, moved to your point in the beginning, to engagement, to how are we quantifying the results of what this is really doing, and even now moving from engagement to action. What is the desired and actual result that happens from fans engaging in this type of content? We know they're on these platforms. We know that's where they're getting their information. We know that's where they're sharing it. And now it's moving to how do we take all of that and look at what they do with it. And that phase that we're entering into is really fascinating to me. Obviously, a lot harder sometimes to quantify what happens once you're done consuming and go back out into the real world. I think that brands are at least have crossed that hurdle, that they know they need to be playing in this space, and they know they need to be on the platforms that the people they want to reach are on.
I'm telling you, looking at what you guys have accomplished, and I can put this out here because it is public knowledge of how you guys have grown from $30 million in revenue to over 153 million recently. I mean, when you look back at what you guys have accomplished, I mean, you got to have a couple of mic drop moments, especially for the haters out there who are saying, well, Stephanie, you need to get back in the courtroom, or Stephanie, you need to do this, and blah, 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 to where you guys are at today. Even though you still want to strive to continue to go to uncharted territories with this thing, but you got to take a moment sometime to look back like, wow, look at what we've accomplished. Now let's continue on to accomplish more.
Yeah, I mean, as I told you, I'm from Boston, so I'm a Patriots fan. The haters are a reminder sometimes that you matter. So I've taken to seeing it that way. As far as the mic drop moments for myself personally, I think there's been a number of them over the last 6 years. I mean, like I said to you, this is just surely beyond the comprehension of what I had ever dreamed when I started the company. I knew that something great was about to happen. I never imagined it would be as amazing as it has been. But you look at all of these real people, we have 5,000 video creators and 20,000 plus social creators around the world that are real people, and they're changing everything about entertainment, advertising, media, disrupting, centuries old industries, to your point about, print and some of the more storied media companies. You can't not be inspired by that. And you can't not pay attention to the fact that the real people at this scale are making such enormous changes in the space that, like I said, that you have these storied industries having to change everything they do.
That is so true. And can you share some highlights of maybe a StyleHaul campaign?
Yeah, so just last week we wrapped a campaign in Singapore. Asia Pac has been a great blossoming and blooming area for us, and someplace that our advertisers are really investing in. And we did an enormous 3-day event. In real life activities are starting to become more and more relevant to advertisers again, trying to take some of that off, online back off and out into the real world. And that was a really incredible thing for me to see our team, from around the world. We have 6 offices around the world come together and activate this massive 3-day event and content from around the globe was just incredible. And it's something I wouldn't have imagined even a year ago, honestly.
Wow. Thanks for sharing that with me, Stephanie, because I know that, hearing you talk about it and the passion behind it, that was really a career highlight for you. And I'm glad that you shared that with us. And where do you see the MCN platform industry going in 5 to 10 years? I want you to channel your inner Jedi and try to foresee the future. Let me know, 5 to 10 years, where do we see this thing going?
I think we've all taken such different paths. I think it's funny to see the media respond to this conversation about MCNs kind of trying to regroup us together when we've taken such different paths. I mean, long form content, for example, is such an important part of our world, albeit not as large a part as our branded content. But if you'd ever told me 5 years ago that I'd be nominated for an Emmy, I wouldn't have believed you about that either. I think that we've all taken slightly different directions and focused on different aspects of the business. For us, the data-driven component, the long tail, the ability to really, I'm from a marketing background, and so really the focus of StyleHaul is to assist brands in large-scale multi-platform marketing campaigns, and all of our work has gone into that, whereas some of our colleagues have focused really a lot more on long-form content or SVOD, or are purely data companies and tech companies. So I think the MCN landscape, as we sort of even can barely refer to it now, will be something that is kind of the past. But these digital media companies that are coming out of what was built on that opportunity from back then, I think you'll see a lot of amazing innovation continue to come out of these businesses based on what they're focusing on. I'm just not sure we're going to be able to talk about it in one conversation anymore in 5 years.
I totally agree. I had to moderate a panel in Silicon Valley in October at the Black Enterprise Tech Connect Summit, and the whole premise was at the intersection of technology and entertainment. And I was on there with Ty Ahmad Taylor from THX and Ryan Leslie, and also Corey Roseman. We were talking about the future of entertainment when it comes to content. And what we're seeing now, we're seeing like major networks. We're talking last year at Comic-Con about how networks are not worried about Nielsen ratings no more. They're more worried about how many people are watching it on Netflix, catch up, and Hulu and all these different things. And I think it's phenomenal, because what this has done is to help creative people out there create content that we may have never have ever seen before. Because think about it. Think about taking what you guys are doing to the major networks. They probably would have said, but the fact that we have the multi-channel networking, we have great companies like yourselves out there just helping other brands out there to succeed their objectives. And I think we're living in amazing times, Stephanie.
I do too. I think that, you look at the way the younger generation is consuming content in very niche passions, consuming a lot more snackable content, consuming a tremendous amount of digital content, and a lot less of the more expensive long form traditional media content. And I think, it is really amazing that all these companies are enabling all of these different creators to come out and find a place to have their message heard and to have their content heard. I think that we are going to see, some backlash from the fragmentation of all of this. I think in probably not the too far foreseeable future, but in the meantime, it is quite incredible to think, we went from having whatever it was when I was growing up, 50 cable stations, to now almost endless choices for the kind of content and what I want to listen to and learn about.
That is so true. And then let's talk about you personally for a minute. Let's talk about your love of art, your art collection. And have you always been intrigued with art, or is that something that you picked up later on in life?
No, I have. I've always loved art. My 30th birthday present from my parents was to allow me to go to an auction and bid on my first piece of art. And it was, one of the most exciting moments of my life. I've always loved modern art. I've been a really big particular fan of Juan Miro. What I've gotten more interested in later was street art. I have one of Bradley Theodore's original Karl Lagerfeld looking at Anna Wintour in my living room. I wake up every morning to it. And it's just, I just have a moment every day with that painting. It's incredible. And then to walk the streets of New York and now the world and see his work everywhere, is magical. Gregory Siff out here in LA, I just think the work he's doing, again, I wake up and look at a piece of his art in my apartment. And then again, I see it around the city, and it's just amazing to watch these artists kind of go in and out of a home to a building. But I love some of my more traditional pieces. I looked for 10 years for one of Robert Longo's sharks, and it greets you at the door when you walk in my apartment. Not terribly friendly, these giant jaws opening as you walk in, but you can get lost in a moment with art, no different than content, I think. And so it's sort of the still life version of what I'm doing every day.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. I always love to just find out, what a person's passion is. And then you can see they take that passion to their company, and you see why you guys are so successful out there. What is in the future for StyleHaul? Can you share that with us, or is it top secret right now?
No, for sure. I think, there's going to be a lot more innovation in data and in what we're able to help brands do. For example, just this year, we've been able to help brands come what I describe as behind the curtain from the programs they're doing, so that they can now work directly with all of the people who engaged with the content and retarget them. That's a huge step from where we used to be. It's not just looking at the campaign with a viewer. Now they're able to step out and look out at what the viewer does. And I think, a lot more innovation is going to come from that major development over the last few months. Long-form content is still an enormous priority for us. Mia Golden and her team just renewed relationship status with Milo Ventimiglia for 2 more seasons on Go 90, which is incredible. Now we're going to have a lot of content for a really amazing series. And I'm very proud of that team and what they've been able to do. I would like to see more innovation on the branded content side. As I said, we're starting to move not only from looking at engagement to action, and that gets pretty exciting because as you look at what actually gets done after people consume content, it's a totally different way that we're going to be looking at tracking all that, and I'm excited about what kind of results come from that work.
And thank you too for sharing that with us, because that really shows how you guys at StyleHaul, how it helps you to keep a competitive edge out there, because you guys are always thinking, having innovative discussions out there when it comes to this world of technology in which we live in. And before we let you go, is there anything else you'd like to articulate to the audience out there that we didn't get a chance to talk about?
No, I would just say a lot of people ask me about becoming a creator, and I would say to those people that they should do it. It's a lot of work. I don't think people realize that our creators spend hours concepting, shooting, and editing these videos. I mean, 8, 10, 12 hours sometimes to do just one. But if you have that passion, there's an ecosystem out there that is desperate for that content, and whatever your social platform of choice is for it, to get out there and figure out where you are a creator, and if you love it, embrace it and do it. And I think that's really important, because I think sometimes people are scared away by, as you and I talked about earlier, some of these enormous numbers. We have some people with 18 million followers on Instagram. It's not the same thing for everyone, and I would say, engage in this incredible world that has happened online, this ecosystem connecting people and connecting passions. It's something you want to be a part of, and I wouldn't shy away from it just because maybe you're not going to be the person with 18 million followers. And
what's the key, Stephanie, of advice out there, how one can get, their followers to engage? What kind of advice can you give them?
For starters, the content needs to be content you'd love and you'd engage with. The more interesting, the more personal, the more, visually stimulating it is. In case of video, and a lot of times we find the more real it is, the more people let down their guard and let you inside to who they are, the more successful the content is. Anything where the viewers are learning something is also another way. And I would say, as far as growing, at the end of the day, collaborating with other people, cross-posting, cross-referencing each other, getting into that community so that you can, spread your message through fellow creators and people that have like-minded content is going to be the fastest way to success.
Well said, Stephanie. And I think we are all smarter when it comes to MCM talking with you. And thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy schedule. It's an honor having you on, and continue the great success that you guys are having over there at StyleHaul. And please, we love to have you back on again, and congratulations on being nominated for an Emmy. Please come back and join us again.
Thank you. The honor is mine. This is great. I really appreciate it.
I'd like to thank the beautiful Stephanie Horbaczewski for joining me here on the show. Great talking to her. I mean, a great, brilliant mind when it comes to content creation and also technology. Make sure you follow them at StyleHaul and show them your support and show them your love. Hey, when we get back, a few more things we're going to talk about on the show before we wrap up. Don't go nowhere. We'll be back in 2 and 2.